Asia. I feel like we have been on a tour. We've been on a Southeast Asia tour, and this is our last stop. And you know, they always say you save the best for last. This is why we're here, the best for last. And this is a special moment because we have Transfer Factor Boost in many markets around the world, and everywhere we go, people talk about how great a product this is. As Danny mentioned, it's a simple story. It's something that everybody can understand right away. Even if they don't know the science, they understand the product just based on the name and the fact that it has Transfer Factor in it. And so it's been wildly popular everywhere, and I expect it's going to be wildly popular here as well. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the science, and then we'll go from there. So what is TF Boost? Well, TF Boost is a slightly effervescent. So effervescent means it's got a little bit of a fizzle, right? A little bit of effervescence. And that's from some of the calcium and the magnesium carbonates, these electrolytes that are in it. It also contains 4-life transfer factor, which, as Danny mentioned, is clinically proven to activate our immune system in 2 hours, right? That's simple, right? That's a simple message that you can go out. You don't need to be a scientist or a PhD. You can go out and talk about that, right? Everybody understands now what our immune system is. And if you can activate that, if you can get that going, if you can boost it in 2 hours, that's pretty powerful, right? Okay. It also contains high potency formula, high quality ingredients. And really the purpose is to give you that boost, that immune boost when you need it the most. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. So what are some of the reasons to take immune boost? Well, as Danny mentioned, there is more transfer factor in TF Boost than any other product. 1,000 milligrams. And because it has 1,000 milligrams, we can say that it's clinically proven to activate our immune system, because anytime you have 600 milligrams or more, then you know you're activating your immune system. So when we talk about the 600 milligrams, that's just the starting point, right? If you take 700, you're also activating your immune system. Anything above 600, you're activating your immune system. So don't feel like you can just stop at 600 and you're good, right? You can take more and still know that you're activating your immune system in just 2 hours. It also has zinc. Zinc's a wonderful immune ingredient. It has 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And all of that is just a kickstart, along with transfer factor, kickstart your immune response, because again, you're likely going to be taking this during times of immune stress, physiological stress, times when you really need it. In fact, I've been taking it for the last few days because I know I'm going to be traveling. And when you travel, you know sometimes that it's hard to, it's hard for your immune system to stay strong. And so it's a perfect product to take when you're traveling. And also because it has some of the ingredients, it's a wonderful antioxidant. So it's great for those harmful free radicals in our cells. And what's really unique about this product compared to other products on the market, and I'll show you a slide here in a second, is that it's got electrolytes. And one of the things about electrolytes is that they help you improve your water intake. And when you're under physiological stress or immune stress, you need lots of hydration, right? And so these electrolytes encourage you to drink water, which helps your hydration, which helps you recover so that you can go on and do your daily activities. And of course, it contains other vitamins and minerals to be able to support overall wellness. Okay? So those are some reasons why you want to take it. Well, let's now talk about some of the ingredients. One of the primary ingredients is vitamin C. Of course, we know vitamin C supports the immune system. Specifically, it supports natural killer cells, much like transfer factor supports natural killer cells. It's also a potent antioxidant. It's one of the strongest antioxidants that we have. In fact, it's so strong that it helps regenerate other antioxidants. It has sort of a cascading effect in terms of antioxidant. And again, antioxidants are important for free radicals. Free radicals can wreak havoc on your cells, and so antioxidants are there to help. One of the reasons why we have vitamin C in our collagen is that it helps with collagen synthesis, right? So we also get that benefit here as well. And in this product, we have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, which is the equivalent of 10 oranges. So imagine you're eating 10 oranges in one of these little packets, right? Lots and lots of antioxidant, lots and lots of immune boosting power in vitamin C. We also have zinc. Zinc's a wonderful mineral that's involved in hundreds of cellular reactions, particularly around immune cells. So when you think about natural killer cells and B cells and T cells, it really helps that immune system function for those cells. It's also an essential mineral for humans. We can't get it, our body doesn't make it, so we have to get it through either our diet or through supplementation. And one of the things about getting nutrients through our diet that we've learned is over the last few decades, let's say 50 to 60 to 70 years, what we're finding is that the crops, the agriculture, the nutrient density in crops is starting to get depleted because our soil is getting depleted. And so what once was a highly nutritious meal now may not always be that way. And so it's really important to make sure you have this insurance of supplementation of vital nutrients and vital minerals. Vitamin D is another ingredient. It's a wonderful immune ingredient that is in this product. Vitamin D is also known as the sunshine vitamin because that's one of the ways that you get it is if you're out in the sun for about 20 minutes every day, you will get an adequate amount of vitamin D. Or you can, of course, get it through the food you eat or through supplementation. And in this case of this product, we have about 400 IUs, which is about 100% the daily requirements for vitamin D. We also have calcium. So calcium is one of those electrolytes that we talked about. Calcium, actually, this ingredient is the calcium carbonate is what gives that little bit of an effervescent experience for this product. And again, it's an electrolyte that helps us take in more water. It makes our body take in more water, which allows us to hydrate. And hydrating when your immune system is stressed, when your immune system is down, one of the most important things that you need to do, but you often don't want to do, is to take in water, is to hydrate. And so we have these electrolytes in here that helps with that as well. And as you are more hydrated, that process also helps your immune system. Because if you're dehydrated, your immune system is really, really suffering. Okay? Does that make sense? Good? Okay. Same thing with magnesium. Magnesium functions very, very similar to calcium. What's interesting is magnesium is becoming a really, really hot ingredient now. A lot of people are taking magnesium supplements because they find it calming their nervous system, all sorts of wonderful benefits from magnesium. It's involved in hundreds and hundreds of different cellular reactions, and so we have that in there as well as an electrolyte, but you also get these other benefits from magnesium as well, including supporting the immune system. And of course, we have our favorite ingredient, transfer factor, and transfer factor, again, contains 1,000 milligrams, more than any other product at 4Life, 1,000 milligrams. Of course, we know that 4Life transfer factor helps educate our immune system. We know it gives our immune system the ability to recognize, respond to, and remember health threats. That's always important. That's research that we've known for many, many years. Of course, we've done a lot of studies to show that the transfer factor activates our natural killer cells in the presence of a health threat. But of course, natural killer cells are sort of our first line of defense, right? They're the ones who are supposed to go out and look for health threats and take care of them as they come across them. We also have a lot of great data on B cells and T cells, and that goes into the sort of the balancing of the immune system. So we know they have that benefit as well. And so when we think about transfer factor, it's really this broad immune system support. It helps all sorts of different immune cells, not just natural killer cells. And of course, we know that it's clinically proven to activate our immune system in just 2 2 hours, right? And that's something that we spent a lot of time on, we thought a lot about, we paid a lot of attention to, because one of the things that's really important for you is to have simple messages to be able to go out and talk to people about. Because most of the people that you talk to, they've never heard about transfer. They don't know what it does. And so if you can go in with a simple message that's repeatable, it's duplicatable, you don't have to have a science degree to talk about it or explain it, you can just say that, that's really powerful, right? It's very unique, it's something that we own. It's kind of what Danny was talking about, is our hero ingredient, right? We have it, nobody else has it, and so the only way you're going to be able to get it is to purchase products through Volmer, okay? So it's a really, really important ingredient. It's a really good, popular product to really focus that messaging in. So let's talk about what does that mean. Okay, this is where we kind of get into the science. So how did we come up with this idea that transfer factors can be improving to activate our immune system? Well, we had to do a study. We had to actually do a clinical study. And in this study was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized study. This is the gold standard of all science studies. Right? There is no more rigorous study than this study that we did on transfer factor. And we wanted to do this because we wanted to prove to ourselves and to you the power of this ingredient. Let me just walk through a little bit about what the study design looked like. So we had a number of participants who took placebo 1 week, and then they also took transfer factor the next week, okay? Before they took either placebo or transfer factor, we first took a blood sample. Okay? We took a blood sample because we wanted to monitor immune cells. We wanted to monitor these immune messenger molecules. And then we took a sample at 1 hour, at 2 hours, and then importantly, at 24 hours. So remember the 24-hour time limit. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. So that's how we did the study. And so 1 week, somebody took a placebo. Then the next week, they took transfer factor. So they were acting as their own control, right? We got kind of a baseline on them on what's going on with their immune system. And then we got an understanding of what's going on with their immune system when they take transfer factor. Okay, and that's the power of these double-blind placebo-controlled studies. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, and the reason why we pick these time points is because we know with our immune system that there's this surveillance and these alertness periods, and these all happen within 1 to 2 hours. And when we say surveillance and alertness, that's kind of similar to this recognize and respond to aspects that we've talked about before, right? It's just different terms. These are the terms that the clinical research lab uses, but for us, we really talk about it in terms of recognize and respond. And we can measure that through things called cytokine change. So cytokines are these small little proteins that are used by our immune cells to communicate with each other, much like transfer factor communicates with each other. And it does so in a very, very short way, because our immune system always has to be looking out for health threats. Always looking out, right? If our immune cells are asleep and they're not looking out for health threats, then bad things can happen, right? And so we want to do things to help improve that surveillance. And you can do that by studying that to see if I take transfer factor, does that improve? If I take something else, does that improve? And then all the way up to 2 hours, you're really looking at how alert are our immune cells. How ready are they to respond to this health threat? Okay? It all happens very, very quickly, and which is good for us, right? Because when you're starting to feel that immune stress, that physiological stress, you want something to start working really quickly, right? You don't want to wait 2 or 3 days for something to start working. You want it to work almost immediately, within a few hours. Okay, so that's kind of the whole point of how we developed this protocol and what we did to help us understand how TF acts on the immune cells in such a very, very short time. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so what did we look at? We took these blood samples, but what did we look at? We looked at these things called cytokines, and these are immune messenger molecules. These are the ways that immune cells communicate with each other to know whether there's a health threat around, something's going to happen, and that's how we're able to first recognize and then later be able to respond to it. And so there's these two cytokines, one's called interferon gamma, and one's called IL-13, interleukin 13. These are two key messenger immune cell proteins that help our immune system be on surveillance, be alert, be ready for that health threat. And this data here is showing the difference between when someone takes placebo factor, you see these increases in these cytokines, which is telling you that transfer factors now surveilling, it's helping our immune cells survey, it's helping them be alert, be ready for that health threat, right? Just looking at these molecules. And then over here, this is called, the CD25 is a receptor on the surface of an immune cell called a natural killer T cell. And a natural killer T cell, so we've heard of natural killer cells, those are the first lines of defense. We've heard of T cells, those are more on the adaptive side. Natural killer T cells is kind of in between that, right? So they're sort of part of the innate immune system, but part of the adaptive immune system as well. And they're also really fast responders in the presence of a health threat. And so we found that when we looked at this particular receptor on these immune cells, that we see an increase in the ability of transfer factor in expressing that protein, that immune cell, compared to a placebo. Okay? So these are the three key pieces of data out of the thousands and thousands of pieces of data that we looked at in this study. These are the three key pieces that allows us to say that within 2 hours, transfer factor is activating our immune system. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I wanted to talk, so that's how we get to our 2 hours. Okay, but one of the unique things about this study is, remember the last time point that we looked at? The last time where we pulled blood? What time point was that? It was 24 hours, right? So we did 0 hours, 1 hour, 2 hour. That's showing this fast acting aspect. But then we said, well, what happens when you do it over the course of the day? What happens? Is it still going to be alert? Is it still going to be working? Is it going to go down? What's going to happen? Because that's important, because we want to know, how long does this effect last? And so as we did this study, and this study was done about 2 years ago, we published the work about 6 months ago, we found a key piece of information in that 24-hour time. And that key piece of information is that if you're here, if this is your baseline, and then you take transfer factor, and then in 2 hours your immune system activates, and now you're up here, what happens after 24 hours? It starts to go down. It starts to go down a little bit. That's called transient. It's a transient effect. So transfer factor is giving our immune system a gentle nudge towards protecting us, but it's not the sledgehammer. It's not like a vaccine where you get one shot and then you're good for years and years and years. This is a product that helps your immune system, but it only does this for so long, right? Then that effect starts to diminish. And what I'm going to show you here, this is an interview that we did just a few weeks ago. So you're one of the first people to see this interview from the researcher, and we started talking about this aspect because I thought it was a very important point. It's really the data that gave us the rationale to create this idea of the daily dose. Why do we need to take transfer factor on a daily basis? Before, we used to say, well, our body creates new immune cells, so we have to re-educate them with transfer factor, so you take it every day. But this data actually shows that all happening as we monitor the immune system over a few hours over the course of a day. What's happening to our immune system, and why do we need to take that every day? So let's listen in on this interview.
Advanced Labs, a premier clinical research lab that specializes in studying the immune benefits of natural products. Now, it's been a moment since our last conversation on the 4Life Transfer Factor clinical study. As a reminder, we discussed many details of that study that really shed new light into how transfer factor works in our bodies. For us, the most important finding in the study was that transfer factor was demonstrated to activate the immune system in as little as 2 hours. So can you briefly recap how the study was conducted and some of the key findings?
Yes, we used a very controlled study design. It's also called a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial. In this kind of trial, each participant serves as his or her own control. What that means is that each participant actually consumes both the transfer factor on one clinic visit and placebo on another clinic visit. And then we compare each person's physiological and immunological changes between those 2 days. And that difference, that change, is the result that we analyze. The types of tests we do on blood samples include measurements on the immune cells in the blood and on cytokines. And let me explain that. Immune cells are always on the move in the body. They want to travel and they want to search for things that are not as they should be, so the immune cells can help us keep in good health. When I use the word cytokines, that describes small communication molecules that circulate in our blood. The immune system communicates with the whole body by sending out different kinds of cytokines. For example, some cytokines signal to the brain if the immune system detects an infection somewhere, and then the brain coordinates with the whole body, including things like fever and other changes that help us fight that infection. There are also cytokines that specifically signal to our built-in repair systems, our repair mechanisms in our body, such as stem cells.
Wow, that's really interesting. And now that the clinical study has just been published in a prestigious scientific journal called Current Issues in Molecular Biology, help us understand the importance of publishing significant research like this transfer factor clinical study.
Yes, the publication of this type of scientific article is really important, and it allows us to share our results with the scientific community.
So, help us understand. Please describe for us the process of publishing research articles.
You see, we can't just write an article and publish it. After we submit a manuscript to a journal, the journal editors take that manuscript through a rigorous review process, and that's called peer review. And that means that our manuscript is sent out to several scientists in the field and who are encouraged to criticize and ask questions about the methods and about the conclusions. And the journal editors only accept the article for publication if several independent scientists in the field agree that the science is solid. And that gives this kind of publication a really good credibility.
Absolutely, and certainly there's a lot of time and effort that goes into conducting and publishing research. And this study leverages 25 years of 4Life science while reinforcing and building off of what is already known about transfer factor. And speaking of building off of what is already known, there was one important detail in this clinical study we didn't discuss in our last interview. It's a key piece of data that has led to a new understanding of how transfer factor works in our body. Aside from looking at the impact of transfer factor on our immune system at 2 hours, you also collected the same type of data at 24 hours. In essence, you're looking at how long the effects of a single dose of transfer factor lasts in our bodies over the course of a whole day. So Dr. Jensen, tell us more about this data collected at 24 hours and what that might mean towards our overall immune health.
Yes, that's really interesting. We clearly see a robust effect on the immune system at 1 hour and 2 hours after consuming the 4Life transfer factor. And most of those effects are transient. And transient meaning they only last a short time. We like to see those kind of results. That means that we are giving the immune system a gentle nudge We are not hitting it with a sledgehammer. We are supporting and helping its normal daily routines. I have an example I want to give you. I want to have you think about a water hose. It's like the immune system is flushing and washing in the bloodstream, is washing through our body, looking for bad stuff that needs to be cleaned out. And this gentle water hose is just rinsing bad stuff, bacteria and viruses out of our system. And what we are doing with transfer factor with a single dose is for a few hours, we crank up that water hose a little bit more. Give it a transient, stronger, flushing, rinsing effect. That said, there are a few markers that were still affected after 24 hours, and that's also important. One of the examples I want to describe to you is a pro-inflammatory cytokine called IL-6, and that was reduced already at 1 hour after consuming 1 dose of transfer factor, and became even stronger at 2 hours. But it actually remained lower than at the start of the study, even after 24 hours. And this may possibly suggest that the immune regulation initiated by transfer factor also may involve a mild regulation of inflammation. Another interesting observation involves a cytokine that's known as a chemokine. A chemokine is a signal that attracts immune cells and direct their movement in the body. There is a chemokine called MCP1 that was only mildly elevated at 1 hour and 2 hours after consuming a single dose of 4-life transfer factor, but that was significantly elevated at 24 hours.
Well, that's really interesting. So what you're saying is some immune markers are very transient and they last a short time, while other markers may be more long-lasting.
Yes.
So with this transient effect, you reference that it means that the immune system, the benefits start to dissipate over time. And so to keep your immune system in an optimal state, you might need to take transfer factor on a daily basis. Is that right?
Yes. This transient effect means that every day a person consumes the 4-life transfer factor, the immune system gets a fresh push, a fresh nudge, a fresh little turn up of the water hose for a little bit.
And just to be clear, the clinical study dose is 600 milligrams of transfer factor trifactor formula. And our customers and affiliates already know that 4Life has several products that contain this amount of transfer factor or more. So would we still expect a positive effect or an even greater effect on our immune system if we took 600 milligrams of transfer factor or more through an individual or combination of products?
Yes. With that dose, we would expect the effect we saw in our study. What is interesting to add on to that, though, is the opportunity of possibly enhancing the effect in certain types of combination products. We don't have clinical answers on that quite yet, but we have studied those kind of combination products in lab tests and seen dose-dependent effects. We've also seen some strong synergistic effects with other immune-activating natural products. So this may be a topic for our next video.
Well, Dr. Jensen, you have given us such great information that validates the importance of taking transfer factor every day. And so on behalf of 4Life and all of our affiliates and customers from around the world, thank you for your time and thank you for your insights.
Yeah, it's a real honor and privilege to be able to work with people like Dr. Jensen. She has been in the natural products industry for over 20 years. Her lab has been in existence for about that same time. Actually, I think it's now closer to 25 years. And she's just such a wealth of knowledge, not just natural products, but also of the immune system. In fact, the name of her lab is NIS, and it stands for Natural Immune System Labs. And so she's just a wonderful resource. She's someone who's always willing to talk about us. She already knew when we first started talking with her, she already knew what transfer factor was. And I was really surprised because I had never talked to her. I had known about her. I had followed her work because she publishes a lot. And then when we finally reached out, we started talking to her. She's like, oh yeah, I've known about transfer for a long time. And it was just amazing to me. I mean, and then we started talking about it, and the way she was describing it is exactly how we talk about it. And so it was a really wonderful alignment with someone who understands our space, understands the research, and can help us demonstrate the power of our hero ingredient transfer factor. And so it's been a great pleasure to work with her. We're actually starting now to think about doing another study with her on some other products. And so maybe the next time I come to Malaysia, we'll be talking about that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how is our TF Boost different than other vitamin C type products. Because as you go out there, you're going to be essentially in some ways competing against those types of products, right? And so we actually did an analysis of a leading Malaysian brand. It's a vitamin C. It's very similar in terms of the amount of vitamin C and the purposes and all that. And we wanted to compare how does our TF Boost compare to that. And you can see with the vitamin C, it's the same with that. It's also the same with vitamin D, so we're equivalent there. But their ingredient, their product, doesn't have electrolytes. And again, electrolytes are really important because when you're undergoing these physiological stress, when you're under the weather and you need something that's fast acting, you also need something that's going to make you want to drink more water, right? Make you want to rehydrate, because hydration is such an important part of the body when it's under physiological stress, right? Your cells need water to get better, to be healthy. But oftentimes when you're in those circumstances, you don't want to hydrate, right? You don't feel like hydrating. But when you add these electrolytes in there, that really helps you drink more water, and it helps you rehydrate better, particularly under those circumstances. And so we know from our testing that we have over 250 milligrams of electrolytes. We have no idea what is in the other product because they don't market it as an electrolyte product. We don't know about the calories either. In our case, we only have 27 calories. I do know, because I looked at the ingredient panel, that they use artificial sweeteners. In our case, we use all natural sweeteners. And obviously, they don't have transfer factor, right? They don't have transfer factor. They don't have 1,000 milligrams of transfer factor. And we know if they don't have transfer factor, 1,000 milligrams, then we also know that that this doesn't activate the immune system within 2 hours. And again, when you're taking these types of products, you want something that's fast acting. You want something that starts working, kickstarts your immune system so that you can start on that road to recovery very, very quickly. Okay? So, and it's interesting because as we launched TF Boost or Immune Boost, depending on what market we're in, and we go and do these comparisons, across the board, our product is always better. We've actually done a number of taste tests, blinded taste tests with our TF Boost against other leading brands, and we find out that ours tastes better as well. So I'm super excited for those who haven't had it to have it tomorrow, to try it and experience that wonderful taste and that immune-packed benefit. Oh, and here's something that you were one of the first people to find out, is that we actually won an award recently on and this is a little bit of an unusual award because oftentimes when we win an award, it's because we've nominated a product or we've nominated research for an award. The Grand Globe Award, we didn't do anything. This is an editor of, I believe it's a magazine, and they go out and they look at all types of products that are around out in the marketplace, and then they decide out of those products which ones are going to be nominated, and then ultimately the judges decide which one wins. And so we actually won these Globe Awards. So that was really exciting for me to find out that we won an award that we didn't even nominate ourselves for. Okay, so just the last few slides that we have. I think we have some FAQs and some questions. So who should consume TF Boost? Well, everybody. anybody, if you're older than 18, can consume TF Boost. Particularly if there's times of physiological stress, of immune stress, when your immune system's down, that's really when you want to take it. But in reality, you can take it anytime. There's a lot of people who take it on a daily basis, and that's okay. Or you can take it in those times of need. So the directions are super simple. You mix it. So this is an RTM, right? It's a powder. You put it in water, you mix it up with about 180 milliliters of water. You'll see a little bit of fizzing going on. And depending on what your taste tolerance is, you can add a little bit more water if it's too strong, or a little bit less if you want it stronger. Okay, so it's really flexible in terms of the flavor. Okay, so we're going to do the FAQ first, or do you want to do the FAQ first? All right, let's do this. Okay, when should I take TF Boost? Okay, so we just talked about that, right? You can take it anytime, right? You can take it daily if you want. If that's how you want to get your transfer factor, that's how you want to get your vitamin C. It's a good product for overall wellness, so you can take it every day. Or you can take it during times where you have physiological stress, where your immune system really needs a boost. Okay? Is TF Boost safe for long-term use? And so as I mentioned, some people take it on a daily basis. That's their daily dose of immune boost, or of transfer factor. And that's okay. So long term, it's perfectly fine. Okay. Can TF Boost be used alongside other 4Life products? So this is a question we get with all 4Life products, whether it's TF Boost, Plus, Rio Vita, whatever. And our answer is you can take 4Life products together in combination. All the products you can take in combination, okay, including TF Boost. So if you're taking, let's say, transfer factor trifactor on a daily basis, you can also take TF Boost. And that way, how much TF would you be getting? 1,600, right? 1,600 milligrams, because you get 1,000 from TF Boost, then you get 600 from transfer factor trifactor. So you'd be getting 1,600 milligrams of transfer factor. Okay? You're going to certainly activate your immune system really, really quick. Who can benefit from taking TF Boost? I think we talked about that. Anyone can benefit, particularly those who are undergoing physiological stress, those whose immune system is a little bit down and needs a boost. Okay, those are people who can most benefit from TF. Are there any side effects associated with TF? There are not really side effects, but there are people who have issues with milk proteins, egg proteins, and so if you're one of those people that have an issue with that, then that's something you have to pay attention to about this product. But besides, and that's not really a side effect, really, that's more kind of an allergen sort of thing. But as far as side effects, there's really no side effects. Very, very safe product. How is TF Boost different from other immune boosting supplements? Okay, I'm gonna ask the audience member this question. So who wants to raise their hand and help me answer this question? Anyone? Yes. Exactly. We have transfer factor. Nobody else has transfer factor except 4Life, right? That's the key differentiator in this product with all other products. Okay? All right, how should TF Boost be stored? Okay, like all products, if you can store it, it's best to store it in a cool, dry place. Okay? Is Malaysia a cool and dry place? No? Someone told, when I was in Philippines, someone told me they had 2 seasons, hot and humid. That sounds about right. Hot and rain, okay, yep, exactly. Yeah, so if you can, store it in a cool, dry place. How long should I continue taking TF Boost after I start feeling better? So it really depends on how long it takes you to recover, but typically we would tell you to keep taking it. Even as you start to feel better, your immune system's still recovering, so you still need to take it a few days after you feel like you've recovered. And in fact, in terms of like when to take it, there are times where, like I said, like I knew I was going to be traveling, I knew my sleep was going to be off, I knew my immune system was going to be down, so I was proactively taking TF Boost. In fact, I took one about an hour ago because I know I don't want to wait until my immune system goes down, right? I want to have a strong, robust immune system so that when I do travel and I knew I'm going to encounter potential health threats, that my immune system's already ready to go, already to take care of those health threats. How does TF Boost compare to Transfer Factor Plus? Should I take both? So we talked about that earlier. You can take both of them, right? You can take Plus. Plus is considered more of a daily product, whereas TF Boost can be a daily product, but it's really a product that's developed for in those times of need. But there's no reason why you couldn't take them together, just like all sorts of other products. Okay, can I take TF Boost with prescription medicines? Okay, that's a great question. It's not a question that I can answer for you because I am not your doctor. And so if you are taking medicines and there is some sort of concern of taking TF Boost with medicines, then that's something you have to talk about with your doctor, okay? Your doctor is the person who would know best whether you should take that or not, okay? All right, is TF Boost safe for children? So we recommend, in terms of a full serving, that it's for 18 years or older. Some people, I know, will give it to their kids, but they will give it at a lower dose, so maybe like half a dose. And so if you think about that, then you want to certainly lower the dose. And of course, this is always done in consideration of your pediatrician, right? Your pediatrician knows the best on these types of things. But if you're going to do it, then start at a lower dose, not on a full dose. Okay, is that the last question? Ooh, I guess it is. All right. All right.